what it do, what it don't, what it is, what it isn't. You already know what this is. This is what we're not the same. A magazine dedicated to shit that I'm into, Zian. I'm your host P5, aka P equals MC squared. And this is another episode of And Also. And on our first episode of And Also, the interviews, we have the Hoxton trend. What's good, gang? Hope you guys are well. Today, like I said on the intro, we have a very special guest, and as you can see, the man who's on my right hand side, the Hoxton trend.
Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you for
long
doing
time
this.
overdue.
It's been a while. I know,
Long time overdue.
And before we begin, I just want to say thank you for your time. It's a Sunday.
Always a pleasure.
You've given your time, and
It's always a pleasure, man.
I really appreciate that. So yeah, guys, I'm not going to waste any more time. You already know who this is. This is Hox. So we're just going to get into it. How you been, bro? Good.
Bro, I've been good,
Yeah.
Every day you wake up and you can move your arms and legs is a blessing. That's the way I look at it now.
Amen
So
to
yeah,
that.
all good,
Amen
all
to
good,
that.
all good.
So that's a great way to start the segment. It's a great way, and yeah, amen to that. And how's business? I see you just posting up the place. Busy, never stops.
Business has been good. I would say there's a lot of changes this year because a lot of the brands that we work with, retail's in a bit of a funny situation right now. So we're getting a lot of brands saying, we ain't got the marketing budget for this year, So we're looking to change a couple of the things that we do. Maybe come with some new ventures. So I'm excited for 2024.
Lovely.
Definitely.
That sounds
Yeah.
good. And we'll touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I guess let's start at the beginning, Hox. Where did you grow up? Just tell us a little bit about yourself outside of the business now.
Sure. So I grew up in Crouch End. It's North London, so it's like Finsbury Park, Hornsey sides. Went to school around there. Had a pretty good childhood, man. Everything was blessed until about the age of 10.
Yeah.
But prior to that, everything was great. To be honest with you.
Amen.
Yeah.
And as a kid, what kind of kid were you? Were you like into art? Were you like sports, or were you a bit of a jack of all trades?
I was very shy.
Yeah.
I was actually a really good kid. Probably because both of my parents, so my dad's Nigerian, old school, mum's Filipino, old school.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of strict discipline from when you're coming from those households. So I think, up until the age of 10, everything was fine.
Yeah.
Everything was good.
Nice.
Good school, good area,
Yeah.
low crime, no gangs. It was a good time. It was a good time in Crouch End in those days. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, as you started growing up, did you go to a mixed school?
Yeah. So
And was it uniform or?
yeah. St. Thomas More, Wood Green.
Oh, you went to St. Thomas More?
Yeah.
I went to St. Ignatius.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, okay, cool. So, and then I guess as you were growing up, maybe you'll have non-uniform day.
Yeah.
You might bop a two little style. Like, when did you start kind of, getting into fashion or style? Finding your own style.
Yeah, good point. I think my first memorable moment with clothing is when my mum bought me my first Chicago Bulls hat, which was back then it was New Era.
Yes.
Sorry, Starter.
No, Starter. Sorry, I said
Starter.
I had one myself, yeah.
So from there, I don't know, that I just cherished this hat. So that kind of just made me pay attention to clothes. But as well as that, my dad was quite big into fashion. So when I used to always go in his wardrobe, it would be all these press shirts from Italy, because he worked with a lot of bankers. So guys would come in with this stuff from Italy, nice shirts. Can't remember the brands. You know how Italy is. Sometimes they'll have a brand that you've never heard for. But pure quality. Lots of Fred Perry polos, the knits, really smart stuff. So I guess just looking at his clothes, that kind of made me aware of clothing as well. So that was probably my first kind of like introduction into fashion around that point.
Okay, nice. And once you started obviously working and earning some money, outside of the pocket money, maybe the paper runs.
Yeah.
Kids, a paper run was outside of that, you started earning some money.
I used to do a paper run as well.
Of course you didn't, you know what I mean? The kids won't know about that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, and then, you know, again, it's not about I'm spending all my money on clothes. But what kind of things were you leaning to? Like for myself, obviously, in 93, I'd come out of secondary school, so now I was in college, so every day it was clothes.
Right.
But I was Edmonton Market, it was pop style,
Right.
a bit of Reebok, a bit of that. It wasn't until 94 that I started developing. So like, what was your thing? Like, did you have a tribe, or did you just buy what, it was just clothes?
Yeah, no, literally back then it was just clothes. So it would just be whatever I liked. And to be honest with you, I probably wasn't very good at matching clothes up. I wasn't very paying attention to, you got a green top, so you got to match it with white and green trainer. Mate, whatever I saw, I liked. And I guarantee it probably wasn't put very well together, But I don't know if it worked. I just liked it. So I went with it,
I love that. Okay, so you had the start of the Chicago Bulls hat.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a memorable piece.
Yeah.
After that, what was like a really sort of memorable piece that, as you started to sort of develop your taste a bit more, what was like a first piece, like was it a leather jacket from,
Well, moving on from like the baseball cap that my mum bought, one thing that I realised from then is I started, when I'd like something, I'd buy loads of it. So when the baseball cap came, I found myself buying tons of baseball caps. I literally had about 30, 40 baseball caps, like Hornets and LA Raiders and all of them. I had all of them, So then I knew then that when I liked something, I just buy kind of like tons of it. So I think, I can't really remember too far back the brands, but maybe, I don't know, a couple of pieces I can remember is maybe my first Averex jacket that I got, which was, I think the store was called MASH.
MASH in West End?
Yeah, on the Tottenham Court Road end, right?
The end,
and then downstairs,
yes.
That's where they had all the Averexes. Right,
correct.
okay.
Good
Okay.
times.
Yeah, I was a regular there.
Yeah,
Again.
Max
Yeah.
was
It was.
in Woodhouse across the street.
Right. It was literally get the college money. So every term you get your check.
Grant or whatever. Yeah.
It was straight down to MASH. It was straight down to MASH to go and get an Averex.
And the high street was really, really good those times. There were so many like sort of niche stores as well, not just like your
independents.
Yeah,
there was more
independents,
independents, for sure.
So now fast forward, and you started working in retail, didn't you?
Yep.
And then I guess that sort of that's where a lot of your learnings would have come, like the knowledge you have now. I guess that would be maybe the genesis of
Yeah. That definitely helped. So first retail job was in French Connection.
Okay. Yeah.
So they had a warehouse over in Bow, East London. Yeah. So literally all the stock would come in from overseas, come into Bow, and from Bow it would be distributed to all the French Connections all over the UK. So that kind of taught me how about picking and packing and what these clothes look like when they come in and dispatch and wholesale. So I was just always paying attention to things, whereas I think some people might have been like, this is a boring job, I was really kind of like, oh man, these clothes are coming in and this and that. So it just kind of really excited me. But the funny thing is, about 2 years after that, I got a job in French Connection in their flagship store over in Regent Street.
Okay, yeah.
So now I was the one receiving the items coming from the Bow store because I worked in the warehouse. So from there, I guess I kind of just really paid attention to the clothes and the fashion and the style, because French Connection was quite big back then.
Yeah,
when it was
before it even switched to FC.
Yeah, exactly. It was quite a big brand, but so I guess I paid a lot of attention to styles, and obviously they would look at catwalk and then they were trying to apply that into the clothes, like all these guys do that now, like Zara, they all do that. So that just kind of, I guess, prepared me for clothing. And then what really kind of kicked things off is when I went to, after I got a job in French Connection, I went over to Selfridges, and that's when my world changed. Yeah. That was, I remember my first day, I met this guy, Massimo, and he said, bro, now that you work here, you will never look at fashion in the same way again. And I was like,
Yeah, sure,
whatever, man.
Sure.
Whatever. But for real, that changed my world and that opened things up.
I mean, I guess everyone kind of understands what Selfridges is. It's like, you know, one of the biggest sort of, you know, stores, and it has some of the biggest labels underneath. It also has niche labels under one house. So, I mean, there's actually people who've never been into Selfridges, so I'm not trying to sort of, you know, be facetious when I say that. But, you know, if you've never been and you're kind of into fashion, really do go into Selfridges.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different stuff that you can learn from just by walking around for the day.
Yeah.
You know, so okay, so you're in Selfridges now. Your life is now never the same as it would have been before. What were you working in?
So I was working in a department called Men's Contemporary. So that covered Paul Smith, Maharishi, Ivizu, and then all these contemporary brands. So it was like Isamayaki.
Nice.
I can't remember the rest of the brands now, but these kind of undercover high-end brands.
Wasn't that well known back then.
No, exactly.
They've always been high-end.
Right, exactly. And yeah, from there, what happened was we'd get a lot of the different brands would always have people come in and give you a little talk about the brand and the history and materials. And again, I felt like a lot of people were just like, this is boring, man. But I was really intrigued by all of this, you know. And I would actually walk around the floor when it wasn't too busy and just be looking at the brands and studying them and looking at the quality and the different, and you know, the price points. It was just like a new world to me, you know. So yeah, no, it's good times, man. It's good times.
So again, education's beginning. I guess also when you're working from the warehouse and then you're moving to flagship, you're kind of maybe possibly seeing sort of price differences, and you're seeing that, oh, actually this is coming in at this, and then you know, in the warehouse, or maybe you see how it's packaged and then how it's presented. So you're learning those kind of things as well, aren't you?
100%, yeah.
Okay, so what was the first foray into now? Okay, working for a living's cool, but that's not really where it's at. I know there's margins elsewhere. When did you start now becoming, you know, forget the fashion, so just entrepreneurial sort of spirit? When did that start coming?
That started from school.
Yeah.
That was something I always had, and when I check it, I think I probably got that from my mum. My dad was probably more play safe, whereas my mum was always, bless her, she never started anything, but she always had this energy to want to start something and then try, but you know, maybe it never quite made it. I mean, one of the things I remember she wanted to do when I was young was open a restaurant in Trocadero, like a Filipino. Yeah, she's a really good cook. But my dad never allowed that to happen. Maybe it was going to be too risky or whatever. But I think from there, I always was just interested in how could I literally just turn £1 into like £1.50. You know, it wasn't so much about getting rich. It was just, oh, how can I turn that into a little bit more? So I think me and my current business partner now, we always laugh how in school, one of our first ventures was to borrow games from a whole ton of people. Would make a list, and then we'll go to like a next group of people and we'll show them the list, and then we'll rent out other people's games.
What games were they? Like Mega Drive games?
It was like it was Super Nintendo games back then, man. SNES. I don't know how we got away with that, but we would literally just go, yeah, look, we got this list, we got all these games, and people were like, yeah, have you got this? Have you got? Excellent. And we'd rent them out for like £2, you know, for a couple of days, and that probably lasted for about 2 months. We made a little bit of pocket money, but it kind of faded from there. So yeah, we was always trying little harebrained schemes like this, you know. Right. Customer service.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know, your good name, making sure you keep your profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, that's dope.
Yeah.
And then you've progressed from there, and then what? Did you like start selling clothes straight away, or were you like sort of getting other bits like hardware, you know, lighters and selling?
So that's an interesting one. So basically, what happened is through working through Selfridges, I guess I had this consumer mindset, so I was constantly buying. So this is where I didn't really understand financial restraint and, delaying gratification for later on. So what I found myself doing at around the age of 19, around that time, is I just kept buying things and buying and buying and buying, and literally the credit card would rack up to like 1.5, 2 grand, 2.5. And then I remember having to spend the next couple of months saving up and paying it down, only to go and do the same thing again. And after doing that about 3 times, obviously, back then I wasn't earning a lot of money because it was all part-time, but I was really fed up of always seeing the debt. So I made a promise to myself. I said, look, can I actually get addicted to selling stuff rather than buying stuff? So I just changed my mindset because I was just basically just fed up. So then I think what happened was I now was going around Hoxton area, and there was a store there called Kazmataz. You remember Kazmataz?
Kaz, my guy. Shout out Kaz, man.
Yeah.
Love to Kaz.
And Farouk, his dad.
Pops, shout out. Even mum, she used to be there sometimes.
Right, yes, yeah.
If you ever see this, love to you guys.
Exactly. I actually phoned them up sometime last year just to see how they would do it, and they were good. But that was my plug. So all like trainers, Nike bits, all random different bits. I would literally start, and I remember the first time I went in there, he probably just didn't think I was very serious, but I ended up spending like 500 or 700 pounds on stock. And then I would go on eBay and try and sell it, and it would sell. And then I'd come back 2 weeks, reload. And I could see he was watching me. He's thinking, okay, this guy, he's doing bits, isn't it? So then now he'll introduce me to some other bits and lower the prices. So now we had a good partnership. So I was doing that for quite some while. And then I realized that, do you know what? I'm not really buying. I'm now on the other end. I'm now supplying. So then what happened was I was doing okay with that. But the only thing is it was quite low margins and high amount of items that I was selling. So it's very time consuming. But it taught me that, and it wasn't just there I was buying. I was also going to Whitechurch Street, which was just at the bottom of Brick Lane. So literally, when you go right to the bottom of Brick Lane, not the Aldgate end.
Okay,
yeah. If you just keep going straight, there's a road called Whitechurch Lane, and it's all wholesalers. I remember popping in there one day, and there was like gloves, long johns, thermal vests, all this bandanas. I was thinking, let me research this. So I researched it on eBay, and I saw people were selling it. I said, let me try this. Let me try to sell it. So I literally took about £500, bought a whole bunch of stock, and then I sold that within about a week and a half, and it done quite well. So then I thought, okay, cool, this is another gig that I could add to on top of the stuff that I was getting from Kazmataz. So I was getting that, and it was doing quite well. And then one winter came where the snow came in October. It came really early. And I had all these long johns and socks and thermal socks, vests, all this stuff. And literally the sales just went absolutely bananas. It was said at that time, I was selling like about between 200 and 250 items a day. It was like crazy to me. But it was low margins. It was like 40p, 75p, £1.50, 250, maybe 350 was my biggest margin. But why I'm so happy is that taught me to be content with the process as opposed to just, because some people will say, it's different when you're older, you want higher margins, but when you're younger, it's more about the process. The money should not really be too important. It's just getting used. Like now you can see I had gone through a process of buying and selling and taking pictures and understanding marketing and trying to get the right title on my listings, and that was the process rather than thinking about the money. I even hired my neighbor as well to come and help me because it was too much. But interesting story for that one. I was doing so well that I just, when you can put the amount of items that you've got. So let's say I had 100 long johns. I've got infinite amount of long johns. So when they sold out, I was like, I'll just go back and I'll pick up some more. And then this one time I went back to the wholesaler and I was like, I need these long johns, man. I need them fast. And he said, oh, no, sorry, brother. Week and a half. And I was like, bro, I've just sold like 700 long johns.
Yeah.
I need them now.
Yeah.
He said, sorry, brother, 1 week. So I said, oh no, because I put the listing on infinite.
Yeah.
Schoolboy error. So now I was thinking, okay, let me wait. So I didn't even turn off the listing. I still continued the sales, thinking, yeah.
It'll come true. Yeah.
But now, after the week has gone, people are like, where's my item? Have you posted? Have you got the receipt? So imagine I'm getting stressed now because I'm getting like 10, 30, 40 messages coming through and I'm getting stressed. So I've gone to the guy at the end of the week and I said, look, mate, I need like about 900 of these long johns fast. And he said, brother, only 500. I've sold the rest. I said, what am I going to do? Oh, next week. I said, oh, not. So I got the 500, sold those, and I realized I had to cancel all the orders. Refunds. And all I got after that, because I was doing so well initially, eBay had put me to the top of the rankings. That's why I was doing really well. Wow. But when the negative feedback started coming in, mate, everything just finished from there. I wasn't getting any sales after that. So that was my short stint of doing some wholesale. But one thing I would say is it made me really confident with the buying and selling process now.
Exactly, and that's a really, really nice story, because that kind of leads on to my next question, which is, I was going to ask about some lessons you learned, and it would be a good point to touch a little bit more on that. About, so you set yourself, because you've now realised you can sell, the products are selling, so you've got confidence. You're like, actually, as long as the stuff's there, I can sell it.
Exactly.
But of course, what you've not taken into consideration is that you don't control that bit of it, because if they now say the factory burnt down or something, you don't have the information. So, like you said, you were stressed. Like, how did you sort of handle that? Other than kind of sort of getting stressed and then sort of going to the guy. And what was your thought that what if it doesn't come through? Did you think that you were going to cancel order? Did you think, actually, maybe I'll get them from somewhere else? What was the whole learning from
Bro, I was just stressed, mate. I have 40, 50 people messaging me a day saying, where's my item? I didn't handle it very well. I was like, oh man, yeah. So to be honest with you, when it all came crashing down, I was kind of happy. I was like, oh my gosh, please just go. I couldn't. So it just taught me, like, don't be transparent in business. Don't try to oversell what you haven't got. Don't try to overextend yourself. Don't do that. So that was the valuable lesson for me in that one. Yeah.
And that's a good lesson for anyone who's doing a similar thing or starting something similar. It's just like, fit within your comfort margins. Not comfort margins as in don't push yourself, but make sure you're not going to sort of end up in possibly extra debt that you can't pay, or this goes whether you're starting a business, whether you're day trading, this kind of thing. Just make sure that that whatever losses come, you you've kind of thought about it and you can offset it. And you're not going to cry in the corner for a month. Those losses do come, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so you've learned your first lessons in business now. It's not deterred you, because some people, like I said, they might cry in a corner for a month. You've gone, okay, I've learnt this, put that on my board. What's next?
So what happened is so now I've grown quite a lot of transactions on my eBay account. So that's looking quite healthy, because I was doing about 250 a day. So I think we've got something like, I don't know, maybe 10,000 feedback transactions.
Wow.
Maybe no, tell a lie, 22,000 feedback review on eBay. So one of my good guys that I'm rolling with, he's picking up these Game & Watches. You know Game & Watch? You don't remember the Donkey Kong Game & Watch?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He's found himself some niche market online, and he's basically picking these up on eBay for about 50, 60, and flipping them for about 250, 300.
Wow.
So he's like, look, you need to get into this flipping game online. So I'm like, okay, so I'm watching him, and he's picking up, I'm going there, I'm going to pick up this Game & Watch for 250. I'm traveling all the way down Birmingham and pick this up. I was like, what is this guy? What is all this, man? But he's selling them for silly money. And then he picks up these Game & Watches for like 2.5 grand. 3 of them.
Oh wow.
But in the box, sealed. It's not sealed, but it's like perfect instructions. Everything's perfect. So it looks good as new. All 3 of them. He picks them for 2.5, and I'm like, dude, you're crazy, man.
Yeah.
Something wrong with you. But he's like, no. I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna sell them for 6 grand. He's gonna pay 6 grand for this. So he has them for about 4 or 5 months, and lo and behold, he calls me and goes, someone is coming down in a cab from Birmingham with 7 grand, and he's gonna buy them. And I was like, no way. But he sells them for 7 grand. So then I realized that understanding your niche is really important. Outside of that circle, people might not understand that niche, but within that circle, they're understanding it. So a little tiny bit of information can just change everything. So what he did after that is he said, look, I've seen all of this Louis Vuitton in eBay France, eBay Germany, eBay Italy, people selling them. But back then, in Europe, internet usage online was not really a big thing. England is way ahead of Europe when it comes to online. You know, that's why when America ever tries to try something over here, they always come to England first, because we're going to be the closest comparison. So what that meant was demand was low for this stuff overseas. So me and my guy, we start picking up Louis Vuitton luggage, Louis Vuitton bags, purses, all this Louis Vuitton stuff. And he's an expert in verifying. I'm not an expert, but he's a well-to-do guy. He's like a lawyer and stuff like that. So he likes nice things, but he managed to find a way to verify Louis Vuitton. So we now start selling all of this on the eBay, and it's doing really well. So we're picking up like bags for like 300 and shotting them for 900. He's picking up luggages for 1 grand and shotting them for 2.5 grand. Like, it was mad. I was like, wow, big profits. And so now I've gone from 75p to £1.50 to now way bigger margins. And he always used to laugh at me that, man, look, you're playing with these small margins. Come over and, one item will just wipe out all your, So that was the next stage. And then what happened is eBay messaged us and said, do you have any receipts for these items? And we were like, no. And they were like, oh, well, if you don't have any receipts, you can't sell this stuff anymore. So we were like, why? Well, they were like, we believe that they're counterfeits. And I was like, what? Well, look, we can do the verification check, you can take pictures, send them to whatever. But they were like, no, we don't have time for that. So we just ignored it, just continued selling, and they shut the account down. So that was the end of that. That was a big disappointment. Yeah.
And so that's another great touch point. Just again, like you said, finding your niche. And again, listening to people around you, and so that there's a key point of surrounding yourself with people.
So important.
Who have different mindsets as well. Because again, that might not be your mindset, or it was your mindset. It might not be, but hanging around with persons like that, or someone hanging around with you, and you might go, oh, that's not my mindset, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it already is your mindset, that's just here's a battery in my back. I'm going.
Extra boost.
Oh,
for real.
And then when they shut it down, did you make any losses, or it was shut down?
So we shut down. We was all in profit.
Yeah.
We had a bit of stock left over. So what we did is I now opened 2 accounts.
Okay.
Because I needed to get that eBay was my lifeblood back then. I hadn't built any social media or anything like that. So what my guy said is, why don't you look at jackets, man? You always love jackets and because he knew, back then I'd have a couple of jackets. Why don't you look at these jackets and whatnot? And I was like, you think so? He said, yeah. That maybe you can try that and see how that goes. I thought, okay, so I'll give it a try. So that maybe a couple of weeks later or a month later, I'm on the tube and I'm looking at is it Star Magazine for Men or that comes with the right? With the Evening Standard or Metro or something, one of those ones.
On a Friday or something.
Yeah, exactly. So there was as I was looking through it, there was this article on the side where the guy picks all these different jackets, and there's a Moncler jacket in there. This must be like mid 2000s now. maybe 2005, 2006. So I look at this Moncler, and I've never seen it before, and I see the price, and it's like 700 or something, and it's like leather with some fur and some quilted materials. Because back then, Moncler would put a lot of effort into their jackets back then, like real good quality. So I looked at it and I thought, oh, this is nice. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay. And I thought, you know what? Let me see if they have that on eBay and these places overseas. So I started looking at eBay Italy, particularly eBay Germany was a very good one because I found they were more advanced than Italy and France. So I started scouring and I found a couple of Monclers.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Let me try and get these over here. And the good thing is that the interest rate euro to the pound was good then. So when I used to buy in pounds, not only was I getting way below market value, but the pound was getting me more value, so even more profits. So I basically started sourcing Moncler from Germany, here, Italy, here, France, and just sending them over and then reselling them. I was also doing Barbour jackets, the wax jackets, Belstaff, and then and that's basically how that journey of the clothing and the reselling started coming about. Yeah.
Okay, so you're buying Belstaff, you're buying Barbour, you're buying a few jackets now. Once again, obviously, you're recognizing that there's a market for these things. You've seen Moncler. And again, another really good point you mentioned was that you were sourcing from different, like eBay Germany. I'm not even gonna lie. Around them times, I didn't even think of eBay. I thought there was eBay, maybe .co.uk.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking of that. It's another looking at your market, spotting where the entry points are. Really excellent. So how do you go from that? And I'm sure it was seamless, but how do you go from, when everyone else was sort of searching YouTube for, Michael Jackson videos, maybe me, all right. Maybe not, it's a bit past, but you know what I mean, the latest hip-hop, the latest videos. I love Michael Jackson. I had a Michael Jackson day this morning. Anyway.
Me too, I'm a fan.
So now, people searching for music, searching for maybe not even, Charlie Bit My Finger. You've gone in and said, all right, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. How did that come about?
Yeah, no, good question. So now, maybe about a year or 2 years after I'm doing this selling, it's still going strong. So when was it? So this is now, we're now in 2015. 2015. No, tell a lie. So we're now like maybe later off of 2014 now. So I'm selling all these items and I'm selling quite a lot of items and I'm getting tons of jackets, like ridiculous. Well, over hundreds of jackets. Well over that. And they're just coming in and I'm selling them and I'm coming and everything's going really well. So I'm just like, when I'm taking the pictures and I'm looking on my photos, just looking at all the different jackets, I'm just like, oh wow, there's quite a lot of jackets here. Wouldn't it be nice if I could archive this? So I put it on like a WordPress. It wasn't WordPress, it was... I
know the one, like a Tumblr or something.
Tumblr. I put it on a Tumblr, that's it. I put it on Tumblr. And you can get like templates to make it look like a blog or whatever. So I did that, thinking, that it would be a nice archive for people. And I bet if we still tried to search for that, that page would probably still be around. But it didn't get there was no interest in it.